Welcome to the On Par podcast from Casa de Kicker. I'm Drew D. Alberto, your host. I got my co-host Sean Kicker back in the studio with me today.
Back in the house,
Good to have you back.
Yeah,
I know
it's
you've
been
been
a while.
doing
Been traveling.
a lot of traveling. You've been busy. You had the 100-hole challenge events. You had a whole bunch of stuff going on. But, it'll be good to start talking some golf again with you. So talk to me, Sean. What's new in the world, man? I know you want to kind of touch on the President's Cup, but it put you to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, let's back up a little bit. We had a lot of going on over the summer for the first tee, right? We did a 100-hole challenge, not one, not two, but three of different events. And those were highly successful. And we're talking about actually doing another one in the wintertime somewhere, maybe another simulator challenge. And then we did the fall golf tournament at Royal Palm, which you played in.
Well, no, I wasn't at Royal Palm, but I did go to two of the 300-hole challenge events. And I was going to do the trifecta and try to play 300 holes.
Right.
But after I played 108 at Coral Ridge, Reese Jones par 3, and 113 in the simulator over at Loop 19 in Fort Lauderdale, I was supposed to play the following Monday. And
Which courses did you play, by the way?
Man, I posted it all on Facebook. I played one course was actually a par 3 course that didn't really exist in real life.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool course. I know Anthony Fasano, former Dolphins player, played, and he played that course over and over and over.
Got his 100
and it was
holes
a
in.
super short course. I think he only had to swing like maybe 115 or 120 times.
He was dialed in.
He was out of there in like an hour and a half. I showed up and he was like 90 holes in or something crazy. But so I guess he had another charity event that he was going to right after.
People don't understand the professional athletes. They go from one event to another, to another, to another. They're supposed to be retired, but it never ends for them. So thank you, Anthony, for all your support.
But I did have a good time. I got a chance to hang out with Lewis and Rob, your guys from the first tee, and Rob. I mean, we've known Rob forever. Nick was a little bambino when he was in archery class at Holiday Park.
Right.
When he was in elementary school, when Rob was working
PE coach,
at Holiday Park. And so it was good to hang out with those guys. And then, Greg Thompson, the president of the board, was there. Dan Young, former president, was there. And the guys over at Loop 19, the GM there, was really great.
David Yoder's a great guy.
David
really
was awesome.
David a lot.
And
thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to the guys at Coral Ridge,
Absolutely.
Obviously. So, yes, now you can go to the fall golf tournament that I was not invited to this year.
Yeah, so we were back at Royal Palm. And it was just such a popular thing. We sold out. We set an absolute record for sponsorships. Thank you, many companies that came through for us this year, and we just didn't have the space this year. So course was absolutely fantastic. Best shape I've ever seen it in. Greens were rolling perfect. And on my own ball, I actually shot 2 under par, which is a rarity. Very, very rare that I have under par rounds of golf. I might have one every other year. So
good for you, Sean. Congratulations,
right?
Man, because
the
I
old
know
dog got it done.
Well, you were having problems getting back into the 70s for a month or two there. So good for you, man, for shooting under par in a tournament.
Yeah, I had a couple of months where I didn't break 80.
Yeah, you told me.
80, and it happens to the best of them, but.
I had a bunch of months that I haven't broken 80, all of them. So I'm getting there, though. And I've been working on the drills that you had me doing with the squat and the step. And it really messed me up at first. But then the more I did it, the better I got. And now my biggest problem, and I haven't even told you this yet, is I have to adjust for the same club hitting the ball higher and farther.
Yeah.
And hitting it over the green now. And it's been an interesting adjustment. My scores have gotten worse, but I feel like I've gotten better, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I've always said the path forward oftentimes in golf is one step back before you can take 2 steps forward.
And that just seems like the way golf is. Everything's backwards. The harder you swing, the worse you do.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm off topic because I started talking about
that's all good
golf,
stuff.
But
that's good stuff.
So anyway, so we went over the first tee stuff. That's going really well. We have any other events coming up?
Yeah, coming up in 2 weeks is our annual wine tasting experience, and that's going to be at the Lauderdale Yacht Club on October 15th. If you go to our website at firsttbroward.org and click on events, you can see the information. You can purchase tickets, and we are still seeking sponsors. The sponsorships are not expensive for the amount of exposure that you're going to get. It's only $2,500 to sponsor the event as a game changer sponsor. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not at all a wine fan, and Crystal doesn't drink it at all. So that'll be one of the few First Tee events that I miss. But I know that a lot of people are wine connoisseurs and, love to try new ones. And that should be a really awesome event.
Yeah, for all you wine enthusiasms, Camus Wine is the one that's sponsoring this event. So they're providing the wine.
We need a steak event, because that I would be all in, especially with, my modified carnivore keto diet that I'm on now.
Yeah, you've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, 20 pounds in a belt loop. I had to buy new belts, and I'll tell you, it's helping me recover faster from golf, from playing pickleball with you at 6 a.m. on Sundays. And, we'll be getting back to that this Sunday, I hope. Finally. And now that we're both not traveling as much. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to be gone the last 2 weekends of the month. So we'll be back on track for 3 weeks, and then I'll throw it off. But yeah, it's been, and it's interesting because I've heard that the bleed over from golf into pickleball just keeps getting greater and greater.
Well, I don't know if you call it a bleed over. I think that it's a separate sport that has been raging in popularity throughout the country and continues to grow, as does golf. So I think that both of those sports have grown tremendously over the last 5 years and continue to grow. And it's a young crowd. But the interesting thing is that the pickleball crowd is a complete mixed crowd. It's everything from young to mostly people our age and even older. Yeah.
My kids will play. My dad is 70 years young, and he'll get out there. Now, he likes doubles because he doesn't have to run like we run. One-on-one because we're maniacs and we want to kill each other.
Absolutely.
So, and then be friends and hug afterwards, of course. But
for me, it's more like tennis as playing singles, but it's on a smaller court that's manageable, that you and I can still run and catch some of the balls. We're not going to get crazy and say we can catch all the balls.
Well, I don't know. I got a lot of directors of racket sports now as clients, and they're threatening to teach me how to really be good at pickleball. So you might be in for it.
I could be in trouble.
Yeah, we'll see.
I could be in trouble.
We'll see. So, but yeah. So let's get back to golf then.
Yep.
President's Cup.
Yeah, President's Cup, the biannual event that's been going on since 1994. And I mean, for me, the whole Ryder Cup / President's Cup, it's just kind of lost its luster. And it's not just my opinion. Viewership was down 36% this year over previous years. And now part of that is that there's some really compelling college football games this past weekend. So you can't, when you're going up against the titans of college football in the absolute prime of the season, an event like the President's Cup isn't going to be a huge draw. The Masters, sure. U.S. Open, sure. But the President's Cup, by and large, and the United States won resoundingly again. Yep. But
and I'll be honest, I didn't watch any President's Cup at all, but I did get Jay Weigel, a friend of ours, has been on the podcast a bunch of times, and he's texting me all the drama with Kim walking off the green and all that, and I'm looking at it going, I couldn't really care at all about that stuff. Like a little bit of BS drama, like when Tiger Woods handed whoever the tampon, and that was like blown up, and
well, last year in the Ryder Cup, where it was, they were going at it in the parking lot, Roy McIlroy and one of the caddies, and over the whole controversy, and so, look, it gets contentious. Of course, it gets contentious.
They're competing at a high level for a lot of money and pride and everything else.
It's more pride. It's not money. There's no real money involved with this. So,
in the President's Cup, you mean?
No, in the Ryder Cup too.
In the Ryder Cup.
And so it's just all about pride, and then of course the crowd gets all pumped up and they get them fired up, but they're all friends. They all play on the same tour,
and then ESPN's got to blow it up because there's drama and people want to see that and whatever.
We know what the media does. I'm no fan of the media whatsoever, and so they have to dramatize everything. And he was being a little dramatic about the fact that it was a putt that was inside a putter's length, but they were down at the time or up at the time or whatever it was. Just putt the ball in the hole. Just putt the ball in the hole.
Okay, so Ryder Cup's over. Let's move on.
Well,
President's
Cup. And I think the solution really is, and I've said this all along, but it'll never, ever happen because the Ryder Cup is a product of the PGA of America, which is what I'm a member of.
Sure.
Okay, that's the 30,000 men and women that run golf courses and teach our golf lessons. The PGA Tour is a separate entity, and that organization owns the rights to the President's Cup.
Okay.
So this is all about money. It's not about whether or not the product is good or not or good. I think they should combine the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup into one international cup and do it every 4 years. Give them something to look forward to. And how I would do it is you have the Olympics, which is the world stage that comes every 4 years, which is compelling and people watch. And then 2 years later, you would do this international cup, which would be a combination of the Ryder Cup / President's Cup. No one's buying into that, but I think that would be more compelling to be done every 4 years. People would want to. It's like the World Cup of soccer.
Well, it's like saying the NBA or NFL should have less playoff games. They're not going to do that because it's less revenue.
I think they should, but yes, especially NBA.
Right, but it's the same argument. And the NBA is a dead league to me as far as I'm concerned. Ever since they took out defense and everybody just bombs threes, I'm not interested anymore. And I could go on a soapbox about how the kids I coached all summer on my son Nick's team.
Chucking it from the cheap seats.
Oh, my God.
Can't make a layup. Can't make a layup.
Forget about
Can't
that.
Box anyone out.
They don't even know what a layup is. They'll shoot 20 threes, make one, and then they'll keep shooting threes.
Yes.
So anyway, don't. I gotta move on from that. Go ahead. That's gonna.
All right. So let's move on to. We've talked an awful lot about LIV.
Yeah.
And where LIV is at, and we know last year they bought television coverage in order to have it on that it wasn't going to be streaming on the internet somewhere. So that it was actually on television that people could watch. And it didn't draw any fans.
Right. They paid the CW to put it on TV.
To put it on.
Yep.
And that's compared to all the other sports that are actually paid. They get the money from the television networks.
Right.
Are paying them to play their product.
Which, if you look at the commercials that were shown, it's only drug companies and bad stuff about every single politician. So we know where the money's coming from to pay those things.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is what it is.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Nah, it's not.
But the product, it's got its fan base, but it's not growing its fan base. It's not growing viewership on television. And now, with the moves that the PGA Tour has done, they've done two things. Number one is they brought in some investment capital and are paying it out in equity. So they're part owners, basically, of the tour, and they paid all the top players. So now they've been paid to stay. They're not going to LIV. And my point is, who's going to LIV at this point?
Most of the guys that are going to go are gone is the point you made to me last time we talked about this.
Most of their product is comprised of has-beens, okay? And Dustin Johnson is an example. Bubba Watson's another example. Louis Oosthuizen's an example. All good players, but they're well past their prime.
Okay.
And who are you replacing those guys with?
I mean, honestly, the only guy I want to watch is Scotty Scheffler now.
Yeah, Scotty's on fire.
The guy is freakishly good at golf. He seems to be winning everything. He's the consummate professional. Yeah. He's always saying the right things. He's pretty funny in interviews sometimes, which I like.
Yeah,
he's like a dry sense of humor, and he's a family man like us, so you can kind of relate to him. And he doesn't look like Bryson DeChambeau or Tiger Woods after he beefed up, or any of these monstrous guys. Like he's half the size of John Rahm.
Yeah,
he looks like a regular guy that you'd be sitting next to at a pub.
Well, he's a tall dude.
He's tall, but he's not like ripped or jacked or giant. I'm sure he's in shape and physically fit, but he doesn't look like a super athlete like some of these other guys.
Not like juiced up.
Tiger. No, he doesn't look juiced up at all. So, I think he's like the everyman that every golfer and non-golfer can relate to, of like, oh yeah, that guy worked his butt off to get freakishly good at this sport.
Right.
And you kind of don't have a reason to root against him other than he's winning all the time.
No,
would be the only reason.
But people aren't tuning in to watch him either. That's the other problem.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's got a rap sheet. He got arrested for crying out loud. There's a mugshot on social media. That's something we already talked about, but
that's another debacle.
Anyway, so you got Liv. You think is declining finally?
I do.
Like the shine is gone.
I think that the moves that the PGA Tour has done are two things. Number one, we talked about the equity.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that they have created these elevated events, okay, that are going to have enormous purses that we've never seen before. And then finally, you've got this TGL, the Golf League, which when I first heard this, I thought, this is absurd. This isn't going to work. But the more I think about it, is the big picture of things. So for those of you that
you're going to have to convince me, because I'm still at this is kind of silly stage on this thing. So you're going to have to convince me to watch this, Sean, because right now I have like zero interest in it. Like watching guys play on a simulator. I'd rather go to Play Sports Bar here at the Hard Rock, or Loop, or Brian Coriston's place in Fort Lauderdale, Lottie Links that we played the 100-hole chat. I'd rather go play by myself than watch other guys play on a simulator.
But it's not just a regular simulator.
I'll listen with an open mind. Tell me,
right?
Sean.
And again, I was exactly like you until I started. And I'm gonna explain to you what the product is.
Okay.
But more importantly, it's not what the product is; it's what the product does.
Okay.
And it's another pebble on top of the skull.
I'm willing to hear,
because there are 6 teams.
Okay.
From throughout the country. So TGL is going to be this indoor stadium. It's something that we have never seen before. It's an oversized IMAX screen.
And it's going to be an hour from our house. Hour and 20 minutes from where we're sitting right now.
It's
roughly.
In Palm Beach Gardens on the Palm Beach State Palm Beach State College Gardens campus.
Hour and 15 minutes.
And there are 1,400 seats in luxury suites.
Okay.
So the tickets are going to be limited, but more importantly, it's going to be played prime time on ESPN every single game. And the concept is there are now currently 6 teams, and the teams represent the cities and the owners that home them. So the Atlanta Drive, the Boston Common, the Jupiter Links, Los Angeles Golf Club, the Bay Golf Club, and New York Golf Club. Those are the 6 teams. But look who's on those teams, okay? The Jupiter Links, you got Tiger Woods, Max Homa, Tim Kim, Kevin Kisner. Los Angeles, you got Thigala, Fleetwood, Morikawa, Justin Rose. Boston Common, you got Keegan Bradley, Matsuyama, Rory McIlroy, and Adam Scott. You've got the Atlanta Drive is Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Billy Horschel, Glover. The Bay is Minwoo Lee, Auberg, Wyndham Clark, and Shane Lowry. And New York Golf Club is Ricky Fowler, Shoffley, Cam Young, and Fitzpatrick.
So no doubt there's a lot of talent out there.
Big names.
But here's my argument.
Yep.
There's no Scotty. There's no Rahm. There's no DeChambeau. There's none of the guys I really want to root for. Like I like Morikawa and I like, some of the other guys that you mentioned, but Homa and et cetera. But I look at that and go, those 3 guys are not involved. Like, why do I care? Am I crazy?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. If you look at this, how many of those people do you think Liv wants?
Probably all of them.
Okay. If they're getting
maybe except Tiger because he's off limits now. He's always said I'm off limits.
Trust me, right? They want him. Whether he's off limits or on limits. Yes.
Well, he's another guy, like you said. I mean, obviously, Tiger's past his prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not the Tiger that he was. His body's not the Tiger that it was.
Doesn't matter.
So there's all right. So Liv is still willing to throw a ton of money at him if he would take it.
If Tiger were to show up to the tournament next week, what would you think would happen to viewership?
I'm sure that it would increase.
And ticket sales.
Yeah, I mean,
instantly.
No, I get it. People still want Tiger to win a major because of the nostalgia of the legend of Tiger, and I get that.
So my point is that this is offering them, this TGL is offering them additional money. They're not going to jump to live. That's the end product of what TGL could really be all about. Is now.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is who's Liv going to get now?
Yeah.
Who is Liv going to go after to enhance their product? They've got everyone that they can possibly get. They're not going to grow their product anymore, and still no one's watching.
And
still no one's
But we've
watching.
also talked about some of the reasons, and you said you never hold any ill will towards guys that jump to live.
No, of course not.
That took the money,
of course,
and
not.
the life, right? That was the big reason that they gave. Like, look, you know, this
14
is a
events. That's all I got to do.
this
There's
isn't-
no cut. I'm
right.
going to get guaranteed a couple $100,000 every time I play an event. Where do
I sign? And
sign?
on the PGA Tour, it's a much more grueling schedule. You have to be in a lot more events.
Yes.
So now the PGA Tour counters that by having more events in a separate league.
Well, I want to talk
I'm
about
confused.
that. I want to talk about that. So, but this is the thing: is it's not about that. It's about the additional revenues that these players can make that makes it less enticing for them to go to live.
Okay.
Period. End of discussion.
Okay, got it.
That's all it is.
All right.
And it is a separate product. And I think once you see it in action, you might like it more because it's nothing like playing in a 10 by 10 by 10 simulator. It's nothing like that. And I guess viewers are going to have to wait and see what it is. I felt the same way that you did, but now I'm starting to see the bigger picture of
Are
what's
they
going
going to
on.
have, and I don't know if you know this answer yet, but are they going to have different commentators? Because I
don't know who the commentators are. I don't know how that all of that's going to work yet.
Because I think that'll make a difference, and I'll tell you why. Because, you know, when Dana White hired Joe Rogan to be a commentator for UFC, it elevated UFC, and this would be like a prime time ESPN on ESPN thing. So, you know, I don't think Jim Nance is necessary, and he's a great commentator,
No, I don't think he would
taking
do this.
nothing away from Jim Nance. But I don't think Jim Nance is the guy.
No, he's the traditional Masters guy, the majors guy, the regular golf on television guy.
Maybe they should get Sean Kicker.
No,
Have they reached out to you yet?
No, they haven't
reached out to you.
My agent has not let
All
me
right,
know
just
if he
checking.
has.
Just checking.
But you know, look, they stole Faraday over to live.
Okay.
That didn't enhance the product any.
Okay.
Okay, and Faraday's as entertaining as they come.
Because part of the reason I dislike pro sports, some of the pro sports out
Because of
there,
the
is because the
announcers.
commentators are absolutely atrocious. If I'm going to watch a pro football game, it may be on mute.
Yeah,
It's that bad.
yeah, it is annoying.
It's that bad. So anyway, I'm, again, a little off topic, but go ahead. Go back to your TGL, Sean.
Well, I want to go back to something that you talked about, how the PGA Tour season is just way overdone. There's too many
Events.
games. So I'll give you a prime example. All the majors are done by the end of July now. By the middle of July now. So all the majors that the events that I most want to watch,
Any of us most
those are
wanna watch.
over by the middle of July. Then we've got this playoffs, which is a 3-4 week series of cutting the field down to smaller and smaller and smaller until you have the Tour Championship in Atlanta. But that's over. So then you get into either whether it's the President's Cup, the Ryder Cup, or the Olympics.
Well, and that's only every couple of years
Every
or every
couple-
4 years, depending on which one.
Well, no, the President's Cup and Ryder Cup are every year.
Okay.
Every year you have either the President's Cup or the Ryder Cup. Not for the international squad, not for Great Britain and Ireland
Sure.
and Europe. But the United States has an event like that every single year. And then we start this wraparound season. And it's just more events that nobody watches, nobody cares about because college football's on, pro football's on, hockey starting up again, basketball starting up again.
And for here, the weather gets nice at that time, and we'd rather be outside, right?
Yeah.
Florida fans in general are notorious for being bad fans, and you know, fans in the Northeast and the Midwest are great fans because they got to be inside anyway because it's snowing. And unless you're a great skier or snowboarder, you're going to be inside at that time of the year. While we're down here thinking, man, it's really crowded because all the snowbirds and the Canadians and the Northeasterners and the Midwesterners are here, whether they moved here permanently or they're just here for that time period. October to March, I know that's prime sports season for everything, but I want to be outside. I don't want to be inside watching games.
No, not down here, not in that time.
Exactly.
But
go ahead now. Tell me where TGL fits in,
and things that. So that what they're trying to do too is they're trying with the TGL. They're trying to come up with.
But are some of those events going to go away because of the TGL, or are they still going to have that crazy schedule?
They're still going to have those, and so. But these guys are going to be playing in the TGL event when you've got those lower PGA Tour purses. The purses that. The names of the winners aren't these guys because these guys aren't playing in that event because the money isn't.
So they're showcasing the players that bring viewership.
Yeah,
I get it. It's a business decision.
Okay, fine. And it's another attack on LIV.
So let me ask you this, and we'll stay on TGL for a second. The stadium's going to be in West Palm.
Yes,
and that means Jupiter team theoretically
is going to kind of be the home thing.
Is always the home team. However, people are still going to probably at the beginning root for their favorite golfer, not necessarily a team that's associated randomly with their city.
No, I would imagine it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, look, there's people in South Florida from all over the country. Agreed?
Yeah.
There's people that live in Boston that are from Boston
now
that live
more
in Florida.
Now more than ever.
How many New Yorkers are down here?
A million.
I used to live in Atlanta. You got Los Angeles, you've got San Francisco Bay, the Bay. So who knows what the stadium is going to look like when it comes to the fans and the fan base. I know that Arthur Blank, who owns the Atlanta Falcons.
Big benefactor to the First Tee.
Big benefactor for First Tee. And speaking of which, you know how tennis has ball boys and ball girls?
Of course.
The First Tee are going to be the ball boys and ball girls for the golf league.
Oh, that's cool. That's great publicity for the First Tee then.
Yes.
That's awesome.
They hit a shot into this IMAX screen, this massive IMAX screen. Somebody's got to go pick the ball up. So one of our kids is going to run out, grab the ball, and get back over there. So,
all right. Fair enough.
But
so what are the tickets going to cost to go to this the first year out? Do you know?
Ticket sales are online right now. I don't know what they're going to cost. I haven't looked that up yet, but I know it can't be cheap. I mean, if you got 1,500 available seats, and you're going to be very close to the action here with these players in a controlled environment. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a appealing ticket. I know that the luxury boxes are going to sell out quickly.
Okay.
And
interesting. No, I'm curious because of course tickets to, let's say, pro sports in South Florida are very expensive. I went to a Savannah Bananas game up in West Palm Beach a couple years ago before they did the Marlins Stadium because they got bigger and bigger and bigger and more demand for them. And, it's a little stadium. Everything was general admission and you run to your seats. It was kind of like, before they had assigned seats, I guess. And those tickets were very reasonable. I think I paid $30, $35. I forget what it was. It was under $40 for a ticket.
Yeah.
So I wonder, with the location being there and the small stadium, how that's going to work out. So we'll look it up and we'll figure it out and we'll talk about it on a future podcast.
I mean, if I were to speculate, it would be a 3-digit price.
Yeah.
It's not going to be under $100.
Look, if it's $100 or $150, I would go to one just to see it and see if it's cool.
Pay that to go to a Dolphins game instead of,
I ain't paying nothing to go to no Dolphins games. Not this year. No way. I've been a Dolphins fan my whole life, and I've given up for the last 20 years because it's been a mediocre product. But that's another story that I can get canceled for.
It is rough.
It's hard work being a Dolphins fan. At least we're not the Jets.
I don't know. It might be worse than the Jets.
Did you know that the New York Jets are ranked 5th in AFC East Division championships when there's only 4 teams in the league? Because the Colts have more than them from when they were in the division.
With the old division.
So like I said, at least we're not the Jets.
This is true.
All right.
This is true.
Moving on from football now.
Where do we go next?
I'm going to get a lot of New York hate for that one, but who cares? It's a true stat. No, I mean, I think that kind of accomplished something new that we've never talked about before on this podcast, which is the TGL.
Yes, it's a new product. And again, I look at it like it's going to be on ESPN during prime time. I think it's going to be a compelling enough product, not necessarily long term as far as, oh, this is going to be a great viewership. I don't see it as that. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
You got to look at it for what it is and why it's being done right now. And it's another attack on the livelihood and the future of live golf, which I think ultimately is going to go away.
Okay. I mean, you were never a big fan of the live golf product, except for you watched one event that grabbed your attention.
Well, because it was at Doral, where I was the pro a million years ago, and so I know the course intimately well. I miss not being able to watch that tournament on television because they lost it for political reasons.
Okay.
And it was a compelling match where it was a tight competition between the individuals and it was a tight competition amongst the teams, which is rare. Most of the time it's a snooze fest. Somebody's walking away with it or the teams aren't even freaking close. Okay. This one was compelling for that, and it actually went to a playoff. And then I tried to watch it again the next week, and I was just like 10 seconds into it, I'm like, okay, there's got to be reruns of Family Guy somewhere that I can watch that's going to be more entertaining than this.
Got it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up by just promoting a couple of really awesome charity golf tournaments that are coming up. Our friend Dawn Smith is running the Girl Power Rocks tournament on October 6th.
Cool.
I'll be down there doing a live podcast for that one.
Where's that at?
It's in Miami, and I forget. It's maybe Miami Shores or Miami Lakes. I forget which one.
Probably.
But it's called the Girl Power Rocks Brunch and Swing, and they mentor young women in inner cities mainly. Mm-hmm. Probably some of your students.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they do a really great job. Dr. Thelma is awesome down there. And then after that, I got the Miramar Pembroke Pines Kappas, who mentor young men. So we're getting the women on the 6th, and then October 12th, they mentor young men and help them go to college tours and learn about different careers and things like that, which is really cool. We've done a lot with the Kappas organization, Kappa Alpha Psi, over the last couple of years. And then after that one, we got, and I believe you're playing in this one, we talked about the Children's Harbor Golf Tournament, which is at Grand Oaks Country Club, a.k.a. Caddyshack, because that's where they shot the movie. And that's on October 28th.
Right.
That one's nearly sold out, so you got to go to children'sharbor.org like right away if you want one of the last 3 foursomes. It might be down to 2 by the time this episode comes out.
Right.
And then our good friend Ed Colo, I call him my big brother, Ed Colo and Mike Dino are doing the Man Up golf tournament. It's the first Friday in December, and you can sign up for that one on ready2manup.com. And they fund a men's conference that teaches men to be better men, better husbands, better fathers, better sons, better grandfathers. Yep. And, just a really great effort that they've been doing for the past 8 or 9, maybe it's even 10 years now. So just helping our friends kind of promote their golf tournaments. And that's one of the things we do here on the On Par podcast. And that's all I got for today.
All right. Signing off.
We're going to wrap it up. We'll see you next Thursday for another episode, and thanks for listening.